Moom?
I think so because I just asked them to add that button to my email signature, and then I pay a $15 a month subscription that hits my Visa every month. But it alerts me, it sends me a text, and it,
Ah, so
you
you
know,
you have the times in your calendar available, and they click the one they want.
exactly.
What's that called?
Calendly.
But IT overlaid that on your Outlook.
Because I asked them to, yes. And then you have to go in there, you go on the Calendly to their site, and I made up a little thing Glorcell assisted me where it lets the people click if they're going to do a smart start in
Bing.
person or if they're going to do one virtual. It also
Ooh.
has where, I talk to them on their 15-minute consult. It lets them even schedule that if they desire. If I call them and I don't get them,
Yeah.
then I have them click it. But
Bingo.
mainly, I like
That's
it for smart
awesome.
start.
I'm
Mhm.
Okay.
shocked that IT didn't cause more friction for you on that. Brendan, we've talked about Calendly, but we just assumed that they would shut it down.
By the way, that was, hey, the selfish reason I have this call with Michael Anthony every Friday. There's the golden nugget I'm hanging up right now.
Yeah, so
So
Yeah.
that's what I
so
mean.
so
If your
so
schedule's blocked up with a bunch of mess colors, then they can't get in there and schedule like
Yeah.
so
you want them
Andy,
to.
Andy and Rob and Brendan and Benton, my office, McCain's on break. Is I don't know if Aaron's here, but what an easy thing we should do, because if the goal is efficiency for your client, you know, Glorcell, one of my, or not Glorcell, April, one of my
Hmm.
biggest pet peeves is like you have that good initial first call. You say to the client, hey, can you get with your spouse? Next Monday and Tuesday, here's my times. They don't get back to you. You email them this,
Yeah, I don't have
they
time
start
for
the
that.
link, and then and it, and as you grow, you don't know if, like, you're not looking at your email, you're not sure. Realtor
Right.
calls, you said, yeah, they're coming in Monday or Tuesday. I'm not sure. And as I would delegate this, and there'd be so many times that I didn't know they'd scheduled with McCain or whoever, and it was in my calendar and I didn't see it.
Hmm.
And then, like, I'm just discombobulated versus, hey, pick one that works. It will notify me, and we will cement that time. Here are your options next Tuesday and Wednesday. Done.
Yeah,
Because to
because it
me,
jumps on your
yeah,
calendar.
to me, the funny thing, and Benton, this is the difference between like consultants and salespeople. Consultants have time slots, and when you're calling a lawyer or some high powered situation where you're trying to get advice, that's what they do. They don't say, hey, I'll meet you at 7. I do after hours appointments. They go, here's my slots. I've got 2 for next week, this or that. Now, obviously, in our world, do you guys know Amir Syed? April, you seen
No.
his? He was a core coach. He's got a coaching company. He's a pretty sharp dude. And he posted this thing about speed to lead, speed to information, and speed. Or it was like speed to lead, speed to problem, and then speed to meeting. And so his whole thing was, the faster you get to the lead, and then you get on the phone with them and you discover the problem and build rapport,
Hmm.
then you can set the meeting. And I was just thinking, that's the faster you uncover the problem on the phone, the faster you're like stuck on the phone, and then like you're working on their problem because you uncovered it on the phone. Does that make sense?
Hmm.
Meaning, like, most people, let's say they have a big problem and you uncover it on the phone in the initial call, then you can still say, hey, well, you need to come in for a smart start so we can go through your effed up credit. So we can go through the fact that you just quit your W-2 job. Because let me ask you a question, Mr. Prospect. Like, tell me a little bit about your timeline. And as soon as they say it's not now, they'll always say, oh, well, my lease is up at the end of March, which is in a short period of time, but I'm probably going to just renew it month to month. And I'm just trying to figure out, the realtor said you were really good. Great. Come in next Tuesday for a smart start. You don't need to come in triage this afternoon.
Hmm.
Hence, Calendly, here are my slots. Click the one that works best on Tuesday afternoon, and I'll see you then. Do you have any other questions for me, Mr. Brand New Lead referred by a realtor that met her at an open house? And that's, so here's what I said to Amir, and I like his stuff. I commented and I just said, hey, I don't think it's speed to problem. I think it's speed to frame. So it's speed to lead, speed to frame, speed to meeting. April, take a guess what I mean by speed to frame.
Framing up the next step.
Correct. How? How do you do that? You've done the warm and fuzzy for 2 or 3 minutes. They were referred by. This is how you know the realtor. Now tell me the frame to make that meeting that's on your Calendly available to them so valuable that they want to click that they don't care anymore about meeting after hours. They want to come in during regular time. What's the frame?
Well, the frame for me is one, once I do, like you say, the 15-minute consult over the phone, then I tell them I'm going to send them 2 emails. The first one's going to be my contact information so that they have all the ways to get in contact with me.
Right. You got the email. We know that.
They got the email. In the email,
I just want to hear the verbal frame. I want to hear the verbal frame in one or less.
Okay. So, Mr. Customer.
Yeah.
The next thing you're going to get from me is 2 emails. One will be
we got that.
We got that. And then
okay,
I said, and then there's going to be a second email, which is going to be an invitation for your secure online application.
Okay, you're giving me the technical. I want the frame on why the meeting's so valuable to me. And then we're going to keep with time management. So yeah, okay, got the email.
Okay, cool. Okay. And then once you submit your application and upload your documents, then I'm going to send you an email so that you can.
Okay, we're still in the technical. I want to know the frame as why I should meet with April.
Because then we're going to talk about loan options, loan payments.
Oh my God, you're still in the technical. Okay,
I don't know what you're looking for.
You ready, April?
Yeah.
This is it. The frame is you establishing your dominance in the mortgage space and securing that you are a super valuable asset to that person on the other end of the line. So whatever they said, first timer, move up, you hear nerves, kind of the Doug Bateman from last week. Mm-hmm. It's just simply, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, after you get all this info, it sounds like next week we can meet. And I think that our time together, the hour we're going to invest just going through the bullet points that I emailed you, it's going to give you guys a ton of confidence at the end of that meeting. And what I found is that a lot of first-time home buyers like you that met the realtor at an open house kind of randomly, is that once we do this, you'll feel settled in understanding 3 or 4 things that you didn't know before the meeting. And then the best part, Mr. and Mrs. Smith or Joe, is that at the end of the meeting, I take really detailed notes, and then I'm going to give you a homework assignment, and we'll make a decision at the end of the meeting about your timeline and whether you should get fully underwritten or whatever the next steps will be. So if you don't have any other questions, I can't wait. I'll send you the directions. Can't wait for you to be here, whichever time you pick next Tuesday. And if you don't have any other questions, I'm going to let you run. Are we good? Frame about them. Nothing technical. Your email will say all the technical stuff. You start walking through people the entire technical chain of how to get a loan. Who cares? They're going to forget is the minute you hang up. They'll go,
yeah,
okay,
I don't go through all of what's in the email. I just basically tell them, one, you're getting ready to get the first email, the second email is your app, then you're going to upload docs, then I'm going to call you and chat with you, and then I'm going to allow you an opportunity to schedule an in-office.
Yeah. My goal for you is you're so personable that they feel like that they're getting ready to come in and get hugged and taken care of.
Yes.
Versus like you sound like a nurse that's about to put the rubber glove on and give me the rubber glove treatment with, detailed steps. And I would rather get a hug from my nurse and feel good about your qualifications, and you frame some story around how you help people. And these meetings are so beneficial. And the more you do them, you remind me of a couple from Cleveland that came to Atlanta. and we helped them about a month ago, and it was so beneficial when they came in and got to see things on a glass board and in front of them. So with that said, Mr. Smith, boom, I'm out. And then
Yeah, I
they're
think for me, I flipped it around where one, I want to be the consultant over the phone, and then I don't mind hugging you once you're in person in front
yeah,
of me.
I think try to reverse it
Okay.
with words and a frame, and
Okay.
you might build more value. And I'm not saying people cancel their smart starts, but maybe people will see more than you doing more on the phone. And a lot of Atlanta's not a market where people give you a huge resistance of coming in. They
Right.
want to. All right, so we kind of dealt with time management. Andy, April, anybody else? I mean, April, you just uncovered the biggest nugget in the room, which is how to use Calendly for smart starts and or realtor meetings.
Yeah,
Hey,
I had 8 smart starts in January. I was looking at my smart start note thing, that we keep, and 6 of them have gone under contract.
damn,
Hmm.
look at that.
And
Look at
probably
you.
7, but one canceled out because of the inspection. But I'm just saying it does work. I'm getting better at it, and Calendly's very helpful. And we just gotta keep going at it.
I love it. I love it. Um, I guess I'm looking at this thing better with time. Clear daily team meeting, time blocking. We may as well add Calendly in there. Um, Benton, like getting better at setting smart starts, convenience for clients, and, and then any other thoughts on time management that anybody's struggling with, or any nugget that someone thinks they've got like a hold on it and they want to share? And if you're talking, you're on mute. Well, I've never been a self-professed time management guru other than like my first 5 years in the business, but that's because I was so young that I like knew what I was doing. I knew that I was defending my time.
I'll go,
Now,
Brendan,
go
if you
ahead.
don't have anyone to go next.
Yeah. Just one final nugget on it.
Yeah, sure. With my clients, I try to my goal is to create exclusivity at the beginning and let them know that, I hear kind of referencing what you were talking about with the powered lawyer, saying, hey, I have this and this available. And if they don't bite at that, if it's outside of their windows of availability, then I'll open my schedule up a little bit. But I'm kind of on the fence too with what April said. If there isn't a lot of availability there, it can be a deterrent, saying, well, this guy's too busy for me. So that's how I kind of preface that conversation, saying, hey, I have these 2 time blocks available for this smart start, or whatever that may be. And then kind of feel out their response. And if I don't feel like it's going to happen, I'll open up more availability for them. But I try to get them to bite on my initial time block, so that way I can keep my schedule rolling and
Mhm.
have more of a repetitive schedule. That way it just becomes natural.
And that's a great segue, Jeff, that I had said at the beginning of the call. Let's have like an ideal lead cadence. So everybody on your piece of paper, I think I want you to write this down. It's like number 1, lead comes in. And you can put parentheses, email, call, text, voicemail, you know, uh, horse and buggy, airplane flies over with a sign, Jeff, you have a lead from a realtor. So, lead comes in, number 1. Number 2, respond to lead. Then the question really is how much time are you giving yourself to respond? Is there a timeline that's acceptable to you or unacceptable to you? Everybody has their definition. Some people say inside of 4 hours. If that works for you, great. If, and then what is the response? And this is your ideal lead cadence. Is it an email? Is it a text? Is it a call? And then let's say number 3, lead engagement. What's the ideal? Okay, it's a call. Is it an email back and forth, or is it texting? And then number 4, like call to action. What are you doing? Now, April, you said and now this isn't a discussion, but April was like, I'm on the phone with them for 15 minutes. To me, it sounds like she's getting into the nitty gritty. If that's ideal, great. For others, it might not be. But the goal would be, if we go, hey, here are the 10 steps to
I'm not getting into the nitty gritty. I'm just developing triangle trust, the
you're doing
goals and
okay,
timeline.
Yeah, and that does take about, I would say on average, 8 to 15 minutes.
Yeah.
So good. And you're just asking questions, kind of getting
and then tell them about soft pull, and then and I throw a lead in, a little shot at, hey, the smart start. Not going into detail, but just setting the expectations.
You're building the value piece. Get it?
Yep.
So I think if number 4 is like, what's the action step, and that's ideal to a smart start, or however you want to do it. If you don't do smart starts, it's ideal for them to fill out, because Doug Bateman doesn't do smart starts. He doesn't give a shit. He's super successful. I don't know how the hell he does it from there, but I want to know if you have 5, and I want you guys to email me as homework, the cadence, like what's your ideal step 1 through 10. And let's just assume that 10 is they say to you, I'm going with you. I want to get officially underwritten up front, or here's all my docs, like you're my lender, right? And I think if you print this and email it to me and Benton, I want to say that the more you can outline what you think is perfect, the better it will be for you to execute that. And when it's not really working, to uncover like the big problem. Think of it like a really good golf swing. You're describing it on paper, and then we're trying to help. And if you're very crystal clear about what your perfect is, and it's working well, and you're getting good lead conversion and good cadence, then stick with it. Like, that's what works for you. And the goal is that not everybody's the same. And I'm sick and tired of, hey, my way is the best way. I'm convinced it's not, but it works for me, because I know that if I change the way I do it, and I start becoming like skipping steps that are important to me, I start to just feel like a sales jockey over the phone, April. I just feel like I'm a rate quoting machine. And then I'm like, I'm just a lone prostitute quoting rates. And then I lose my value and self-worth, and I get mad. And then I kick the can or kick the cat and get angry and yell at someone. So ultimately, I would argue that out of anything on this call today, besides some of the good time management nuggets, that if you can describe your ideal lead cadence 1 to 10, and you can stick with that or tweak that, or hey, describe that to a realtor. What if your ideal lead cadence you take to a realtor that's referred you 8 shitty leads that don't return phone calls and don't do anything, and you've gotten one weird deal that they shopped you and went somewhere else, but the realtor feels like they're referring you and doing a great job. You could have a coffee meeting with them this afternoon and say, hey, on my coaching call, I wrote out kind of my ideal outcomes, and I've come to notice that none of your leads are in my ideal category. What can we do to change that? I want to work with you, but none of the people that you refer me actually do it the way I think is best. Should we continue working together, or should we try to change something? And maybe that's a less offensive way of saying, hey, this isn't working for me. Just a thought. So can you guys commit to that homework assignment? It's 9:14. We're finishing up.
Brendan.
Yeah.
Cool. One thing that, going to this Calendly thing, that number one, you can definitely get that added to your email signature, because I did that from day one, and so did Logan. So obviously April figured that out as well. And I suggest you all do that. But sticking to that system, to me, has been huge, because going to your, well, now I can't see it, but I think it was point number 5 on the chart there, the distractions. To me, I get, you get the phone call, hey, I talked to you 3 months ago, now we're ready to get started, hey, what's the rates today? And you get in that conversation and it eats up, half an hour of your time or 45 minutes of your time or whatever. And meanwhile, you were planning on doing something else. So, using a system like Calendly or whatever scheduling, there's a million of them out there, I'm sure. But Calendly is approved for Mutual, so they have no issues from compliance and IT. But anyway, using something like that and sticking to it really helps you just, hey, I'd be love to talk to you. Let's pick a time on my calendar that works for you, and I'll call you tomorrow or later today or whatever it is. And then you move on to the next task that you were already working on. The other thing is I've been reading a book that Todd Gosden talked about in one of our Keller Home Loans calls. It's called the 12-week year. And I would suggest, I'm not finished with it yet, and I'll probably read it again. But I would suggest taking a look at that one, the 12-week year. It breaks down the year into basically a quarter, because you can't plan out a year in advance with any accuracy. It's just a hope and a dream at that point. But blocking it down into a smaller time frame, seems to be much more effective. And I've gotten a lot of tips out of that with time blocking and managing your day on a much smaller basis. So I think that's a good book for everybody to check out.
What was the name of the book?
The 12-week year.
Cool.
I'll put a link in the chat.
Okay. Well, man, I think that's all this stuff. David, it's kind of like a diet. You get a little tip and then you can implement it, or a workout tip. Time management's always about tweaking, because any type of massive rehaul of time management, in my experience, doesn't work and it's overwhelming. So it's like, hey, start with what you got, tweak a couple things, and calls like this just help us. It's like, if we're not taking a little bit of time out each week to sharpen the saw, we're just going to keep doing it the same way, and that's definition of insanity. So all right, guys, we'll be at it next week. Thank you, David. Thank you, Logan, and anybody else. I saw a bunch of names. We got, there were a bunch of slackers. We only had 10 of us, but I'm glad you guys showed. And if you need anything, reach out to me or Benton or Michael. He was in some meeting this morning, so he couldn't make it. But have an awesome weekend. And I don't know who I'm rooting for in this Super Bowl. I think I'm rooting for Taylor Swift.
Taylor.
I do love all the controversy, I swear. It's so much fun.